आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। धर्मात्मा सत्यसन्धश्च रामो दाशरथिर्यदि पौरुषे च प्रतिद्वन्द्वः शरैनं जहि रावणिम्. Okay. Welcome back to the continuation of the series Ishvara to Swara through Ramayana. So we have been looking at the story of Ramayana from these perspectives, and the qualities that we have discussed so far about Rama include Atmavan, sorry, Gunavan, Konvasmin Sampratam Loke, Gunavan, Viryavan, Dharmagnya, Kritagnya, Satyavakya. Five gunas we have already discussed, and the sixth one, Dridhavrata. In the previous lecture, we did discuss about the Dridhavratatva and how something becomes a Mahavrata. Jati, Desha, Kala, Samaya, Anavacchinnam. So when it goes beyond the boundaries of Jati, categorization, time, space, and our constraints that we have put for ourselves. So when it moves beyond all these constraints, then it will be called as Mahavratam. And Patanjali mentions this soon after describing what are the five yamas. Okay. And we also saw how Rama possessed these yamas: ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. So all these five yamas we did discuss. We did see how they existed in Sri Rama, and at the same time how they can all contribute, or how they all became a Mahavrata for Rama. It is not only limited to these yamas. Anything can be taken up as a vrata, which was basically the assignment that was that was given, and it has been a fair response to say to say the least. When I say fair, I mean much better than the last time, because this time I think there are around four or five responses that have been received, which is not bad. I mean, something has clicked, so not bad at all. Anyway, this is not just about responses and all. It will be, it is up to them. It is their mind and all those things. Coming back to the continuation of the thing, Dridhavrata, how the word Dridhavrata has to be understood in uh, the context of Sri Rama, and what is that one Vrata of Sri Rama that we find throughout his life, and how it became a Mahavrata for him, and it became a Mahavrata, and therefore he was called as a Dridhavrata. Dridhaha Vrataha Yasya Saha, for whom the vrata is always dridha. Our vrata is not dridha. Our vrata is most of the times adridha, to say the least. Or if we are good enough, then it would be somewhere in between dridha and adridha. We have a category, special category called as dridha dridha. Okay, it is sometimes it is dridha, the vrata that I have taken up. Sometimes it is adridha. For example, Ekadashi. People come up with so many excuses, you see. Ekadashi vratam, it is a vrata basically. Ekadashi is a vrata. So I've taken up the Ekadashi vratam at home. I do it completely. That is a vrata for me. But now I'm not at my place. I'm traveling, so I'm somewhere else. So when you are traveling, it's okay to not do it at all. That's one concept that people have. And even further, I don't think if we have discussed, I don't think, I'm not sure if we have discussed this previously or not. There will be another set of arguments, some other, oh, am I audible now? And there is some person who has asked uh, for myself to be a little bit louder. I hope I'm quite audible now. Anyway, so there will be some more ideas that people say that you don't have to follow vrata, dharma, or anything if you cross ocean. So once you cross the ocean, then you are done. You don't have to follow any dharma or vrata. This is also a kind of notion that exists in the world. So we have to be careful with all these things, because this is not uh, this is not done. This is not the way it actually works. Therefore, our vrata, why our vrata, that the vratas that we take up, why are they not becoming dridha? How do we find that firmness in the vrata that we have taken up? What should be taken up as vrata is what we discussed in the previous session, and anything can be taken up as a vrata. Some people take killing others as a vrata. I don't have to tell you who they are. You know them. You can identify them. So it is their vrata, and look at them. Nothing stops them. It is a mahavrata for them. And that is what they believe, that it is their Mahavrata. They don't call it as Mahavrata. But if you identify, if you see, if you observe, nothing stops them from exercising that Vrata, killing kafirs, to put it in their terminologies. So that's how they follow their Mahavrata. And we are best in quotation. We quote. We don't act, but we quote. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. We quote, but we don't act. We don't protect dharma. So, how do we protect dharma? We have to follow, we have to act. If I don't do anything, then there is no point in saying that our Sanatana Dharma says that anything can be practiced as a Mahavrata. Satya should be followed as a Mahavrata. Tomorrow there is a guest coming home, and you have just written an email, a leave application to your boss saying that I'm applying for a sick leave. It has become that simple. To lie has become that simple, as though it doesn't matter at all, as though it is quite common, it is acceptable. So that is the reason why we are not able to cross that threshold and elevate ourselves to that level of becoming Dridhavrata like Rama. Now, without further taking time about explaining what Vrata is, or what was that one guna that Rama practiced throughout his life and has spoken about it vocally. He has professed it, he has put it in words. So if anybody says that as through their words, then automatically it carries more weightage. So without saying also, we can follow, and we can identify, we can infer the qualities that a person possesses based upon the way they have interacted, the way they have followed it, and all those things. However, if someone has claimed it, if someone says that I follow this as my brata, then it carries even more weightage, because because the person who is following it is very confident about it. We are not even able to reach that level where we can say that I'm very confident that I follow this as my vrata. For example, Sandhya Vandanam is my vrata. Nobody says that, because we all know that most of the days it is possible, some of the days it is not possible. I'm traveling, I'm not able to do it. So we have taken it for granted. That's why we are not able to go beyond that threshold. But Rama did. What was that example? What is that episode in which we find Rama's Dridhavratatva? Interestingly, Hanuman had crossed the ocean to identify where Sita is located, whether Sita is there or not. And he spoke to Sita. All those things happened. And after that, he came back. He flew back and he reported it to uh, Rama, Sugriva, and all those people. And Sita had told very clearly, she had sent a very clear message without mincing her words, without giving any other hints. She was very, very clear in her message that Rama needs to act at the earliest. He cannot take time. He cannot afford the luxury of time. So that was a very clear and loud message given by Sita to Rama, that I can't bear this anymore. There's now or never. So that was the message that was delivered by delivered to Rama by Sita via Hanuman, through Hanuman. After this, Rama had to take a decision. So once Hanuman narrated the entire thing, the plight of Sita, so Rama decided that, this is the time to act. He looked up to Sugriva, and Sugriva said, "Don't you worry. We already have the army with us." And with no time, wasting no time, they reached immediately to the banks of the ocean, to the shores of the ocean, the Kshina Samudra Tiram. They are there. Meanwhile, as this was happening here, I mean, you have to see here that there was no specific strategy. At that moment, there was no specific strategy. They did not think whether it is possible to us or not. It was sheer will. That sankalpa was so strong but it was not a foolish decision. It was not an impulsive decision. It was a very strong decision because everybody wanted the same thing. It was driven with that much of enormous willpower by each and every single member of that Vanar army. They all decided that we will march with Rama, and they all reached the shores of the Krishna Samudra. They had to take rest, and the movement of that Vanara Sena is also very beautifully described by Valmiki in Yuddhakandam. How did they move? Who paved them the way? Who guided them towards that path? And there is a lesson or two in on how to build roads. Okay, Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas is okay. Building roads, connecting India, all those things are fantastic. That's a great idea. At the same time, we need to be careful also to not hurt the ecosystem, the environment. And how did they navigate? How did they move without hurting or without creating that disturbance uh, to the system, to the existing environment? That's a great lesson there. And they reached. There were two engineers who took them there. And now comes the daunting task in front of them. There is an ocean in front of them. Now they have to cross it. Not everybody can fly like Hanuman. It is impossible. I mean, the Vanara Sena can fly, but they have their limited capabilities. Not every single Vanara can fly across the ocean. They can fly over the ocean, but they cannot fly across the ocean. It's a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. Hundreds and thousands of Vanaras, and if they try to fly over the ocean, 90 to 95% of them will fail. And what does it mean? It means that they are going to lose their life. I mean, it would be disastrous, to say the least, that an entire army lost due to some wrong strategy. So this was the situation here, and they were all discussing that how do we go about it? What should we do? So they based their camp on the banks of the ocean, Samudra Tira. Meanwhile, now this is part one of the story. Part two of the story is happening across that border in Lanka. As soon as Hanuman left Lanka, burned down to ashes, Ravana became very serious. Ravana said that, I should teach that monkey a lesson. He was very adamant about it. And he calls upon, he also convened a meeting. So the story, these two stories of Rama convening a meeting and Ravana convening a meeting happens simultaneously in the sense, Valmiki presents it one after the other because it's a story, it's a kavya, so you can present it both at the same time, one after the other, but it happened at the same time so that the world could witness the contrast on how to conduct meetings. So Ravana called for a sabha, and in that sabha everybody spoke. The agenda was how do we punish that monkey and that uh, tuchha manava, the meager human called as Rama, because he was not expecting such kind of a response or such kind of a responsible approach by him, by a human being, because up until now nobody had dared challenged had dared to challenge Ravana. See, this is what happens usually when we go unchecked. We become arrogant like Ravana. We feel that nobody is there to check on us. Nobody is there to tell us what is right and what is wrong, and we begin to think that we are invincible. And Ravana was also in that illusion that he is invincible. Therefore, this particular event that happened to him, uh, courtesy of Hanuman at Lanka, the burning down of Lanka, was a wake-up call. So he's completely awake now, and he wanted a firm strategy. So he called upon his ministers and everyone, and they suggested that we will take the attack to Rama. Where is he? He would be somewhere hiding from you. These are the reports. This is how they all gave their inputs to Ravana. I see no difference between this and what they call in colloquial Kannada these days bucket ಹಿಡಿಯೋದು. Okay, so those of you who speak Kannada, you know very well what it means. Boss at bucket ಹಿಡಿಯೋದು ಅಂತ. It means that you are chamchagiri, to put it in other words. Just praising the boss. That's all. There is no insight, there is no vision, there is no proper presentation, nothing. It is merely beating the trumpet and singing the praises of the king. That's exactly what Ravana's ministers, Ravana's cabinet, Ravana's advisors did, except one. Every single one of them, including his commander in chiefs, his son, everyone said that how can anybody disturb us? How can anybody do anything to us? No, we are invincible. You don't have to worry a little bit about it. And we are all here and we will defeat them. I say that we go and attack them and finish them and come back. And they were not ready to accept the reality. And also, when I say reality, they were not ready to accept the intensity of the situation that was present in front of them. That was very evident in the way they all spoke. There was some person who suggested, there were many who agreed with this particular suggestion as well. They all said that you should go ahead and kill Sita. So what happens is, if there is no Sita, then the entire effort that Rama is planning to do, or Rama is planning to put, will become futile. It will be useless. They can go to this extent. Then na rahegi baans na bajegi basuri kind of thing. All this problem is arising because of Sita. So if we eliminate Sita, then there is no reason for Rama to come here and attack us. So he will be uh, kind of grief struck, and he will grieve somewhere in the corner. He's just a manava, he's just a human being. He's not as powerful as us. He would not be able to take that revenge, or he would not be able to bring that anger, his wrath of anger on us. He will be busy weeping and crying and missing his wife. So let us kill her. This was one of the proposals that was put across Ravana, and Ravana was still taking all these things. He was hearing all of them, and at this time, Vibhishana spoke. Vibhishana was also one of the chief members of Ravana's advisory council. So Vibhishana spoke, and he says that Pradiyatam Dasharathaya Maithili, one of the famous lines of Valmiki's Ramayana, where Vibhishana says very clearly to Ravana that you should give Sita back to Rama. The confidence that Vibhishana had on Rama, even though he had not seen Rama, that speaks volumes about Rama's Dridhavratatva. You might be thinking that I'm simply narrating the story. We all know this story, but we don't know how do we understand that Dridhavratatva of Rama, and how deep was Vibhishana's understanding of Rama's Dridhavratatva. See, when we are very strong in something, it transcends, it spreads across. The fragrance of that strength travels. It doesn't require any visa, it doesn't require any clearances, customs, nothing. Whether the person knows us or not, it doesn't matter. You you have heard about that person a couple of things, and it is sufficient for you. It is absolutely sufficient proof for you to believe in the fact that they are the Dhavratas. Vibhishana had heard a few things about Rama from the reports that were presented to the court of Ravana by his anucharas, by his messengers. So that information was sufficient, that data was sufficient for Vibhishana. See, the data was common for all of them. Maricha and all these people, when they gave the report, when they talked about Rama, they all spoke the reality of Rama. And it was sufficient for Vibhishana to understand the depth of Rama. To what extent did Vibhishana understand the depth of Rama? To the extent that even without meeting him, before even he met him, he was able to understand that Rama was a Dayanidhi, that Rama had compassion. Therefore, he says that Pradiyatam Dasharathaya Maithili. With confidence, he says that all you need to do is hand Sita back to Rama. The chances of us living would increase tenfold if you hand Sita back to Rama. And if you fail to do so, then the entire nation is put under the risk. Thousands and countless soldiers, thousands and thousands of soldiers are put at risk. They can lose their life. So this is what is going to happen. Therefore, Pradiyatam Dasharathaya Maithili. And he substantiates very beautifully. Vibhishana substantiates his argument by saying that I don't know if you are aware of this, my dear brother, or not, but let me tell you what all things have been happening lately in Lanka. Let me draw your attention towards some of the crises that are happening in our own country, that is Lanka. He draws Ravana's attention, and there is so much lessons to learn from this on how to convene meeting. He drew attention most of the times, when people start speaking such kind of stuff or such kind of presentation, such kind of words, they are outrightly dismissed nowadays because the majority of them fail to see the connection. Now, Vibhishana makes a point which is very interesting because it talks about nimitta. And any nimitta, when when it happens for a long period of time, and when it happens continuously without any break, there is a hidden message, and it means that one should not ignore that that particular thing. eh? One should not ignore, one should dare ignore the uh, the message, the hint that the world is giving, the nature is giving. So these hints are called as nimittas. And Vibhishana has been observing those nimittas, and he draws the attention of the entire Sabha towards those nimittas. And he tells them, ever since Sita has stepped into Lanka, there are so many things that are happening in Lanka which are absolutely wrong. See, I can spend an entire hour talking about all these things, but that is not the Uddesha. Therefore, I'll skip this part, I'll move ahead. But I'm just saying that how he used one of the strongest elements, aspects of Jyotisha to substantiate his argument. So, Nimitta is a strong aspect of Jyotisha. So he puts forth his argument and he says that Pradiyatam Dasharathaya Maithili. I don't think war is the answer. I don't think we should prepare for any sort of attack or anything. It is better if we try to come to an agreement because we have wronged them. We have wronged Rama. It's not the other way around. So when you have wronged, it is better to apologize and get on about it. And there is no need to show the might, the power, the arrogance. All these things are unnecessary, is the opinion of Vibhishana. That is why he is strongly urging Ravana to send Sita back, to hand Sita back to Rama. And he says that he mentions this to Ravana and all the other members in that Sabha, that I'm very sure that if we hand over Sita to Rama, I'm very sure that Rama will forgive us, provided we ask the apology, we ask the forgiveness of Rama. I'm very sure he will forgive us. That compassion, that daya, that kshama is truly there in Rama. Therefore, we don't have to think too much about it. Therefore, my suggestion is that we hand Sita back to Rama. This was the conclusion of first day of meeting. Ravana agreed, and he said, "Let us reassemble tomorrow." And he dismissed the Sabha. Sabha is over, and the second day, again, the Sabha is convened. Same question put in front of them. Same opinions came from the same people. They reiterated their fact. Nobody chewed on the presentation or the facts mentioned by the suggestions, the points mentioned by our Vibhishana. Nobody wanted to discuss all those things. They were all very sure in their mind what they wanted to do. So nothing actually changed their mind, and they began to say the same exact thing to uh, Ravana. At this time, Vibhishana also stood up. Second day, the conviction that Vibhishana had, the confidence that Vibhishana had, that no matter how many ever times you have to stand up for truth, for dharma, you do it. Most of us are in betweens. We care a lot about dharma, commendable thing. The way we care about dharma is, it's almost as if it is a mandatory thing to be done. It's not like a polio vaccine, let me tell you. That is, some people think that, most of us might think that following dharma is like taking a polio vaccine. Once is sufficient. Uh, so I've tried my best. I've put my best foot forward. I've tried what all things I could. Whether I succeeded or not, it doesn't matter, but I put my effort. And they also use karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalehetur bhurmate sangostva karmani, quotations and these kind of references. They would try to substantiate their argument by saying that I tried my best. We said it one time. We expressed our virodha once against something that was happening, and we felt that we have done our duty. Whatever happens next is up to them, and we can't really help. That's where most of us go wrong. That is the reason why we don't find our names in the list of Bhagavatottamas, but Vibhishana finds, because of that conviction they have about dharma. A true bhakta will always be 100% convinced about dharma. He will not have any inch of doubt, even an iota of doubt in his mind about dharma. See, this is the difference that we have to see between the characters of Maricha and Vibhishana. Both of them were Rakshasas. Both of them had Ravana as their benefactor. Both were funded by Ravana. Funded in the sense, Vibhishana was taken care by Ravana, basically. That too being the king as well as the elder brother. Maricha, though, completely he was funded by Ravana. Ravana was Al Qaeda back then. He used to fund terrorists. That's very clear. Or maybe I should say the other way around. And he was that Istan, Ravana, and Istanu. And he used to Istanu to all these Maricha, Khara, Dushana, Trishiras, and many people on his payroll whom he used to fund. Vibhishana was also one of them. He was also living because of the Vetanam, or the grace or the Anugraha of Ravana. Why I'm stressing on this point is many people will say that the food that we take, that the food that we consume, it's a very serious thing that we have to understand. The food that we consume makes up our mind. Our entire culture is shaped depending upon the type of food, the way we consume our food. And therefore, if I consume food which is earned by me via adharma marga, or if the source from where I am getting the money is filled with adharma, then obviously uh, the food that I am taking will also have plenty of adharma fact or factors included in it. Hence, if I am doing any adharmika activities, I cannot be held responsible. This is all washing your hands. ಕೈ ತೊಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. We just want to wash our hands and run away, not take the accountability. So these things must not be used. This is why Vibhishana serves as a fine example of Dharmatma. These are the words of Hanuman in Valmiki Ramayana, where he says that Vibhishanastu Dharmatma Naturakshasa Cheshtitaha. The first line was sufficient. Vibhishana is a Dharmatma, but Hanuman did not end it there. There are people in Rakshasas as well. There are many people who are Dharmatmas, who do follow Dharma, who know Dharma, but most of the times they don't act that Dharma as well. Knowing Dharma is one thing, but acting that Dharma is a different thing. So Vibhishana not only knew Dharma, but he also acted Dharma, and he did not act otherwise. When he did not act anything but Dharma. That is why Hanuman says this about Vibhishana, that Vibhishanastu Dharmatma, and nowhere in none of his activities, the words he speaks, the thoughts that he gets, the way he conducts himself, in none of these activities you will find Vibhishana at fault, because he is Natu Rakshasa Cheshtitaha, not at all like a Rakshasa. He doesn't act like a Rakshasa. It goes on to show that there are many, and this is the answer for those people who claim that Ravana was also a great Shastrajna, great Dharmajna. What is the use? You see that another version of Ravana in Duryodhana. He says that Janami Dharmam Nachame Pravrittihi, Janami Adharmam Nachame Nivrittihi. What is the use then? When you know so many things, I've read Shastras, I know what to do, but I'm not able to do it. It is not like somebody is forcing you to not do it. You are purposefully not doing it, and you are finding a reason just to escape from it. This is called as Rakshasa Cheshtita. And we have, in bits and parts, in certain percentage, we have this sort of Rakshasa Cheshtita in us. And we need to overcome that Rakshasa Cheshtita. We cannot remain as a Rakshasa Cheshtita. We should not act like a Rakshasa. Acting like a Rakshasa is saying one thing and doing some other thing. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam, duratmana. They think something, they speak something, they act something else. That is Duratmas. But we should be Mahatma. We should be like a Mahatma. What does Mahatma do? Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam Mahatmana. So in the whatever they think, they speak. Whatever they speak, they act. So Vibhishana was not only speaking about Dharma, Vibhishana not only thought about Dharma, Vibhishana acted Dharma, Vibhishana lived Dharma. Therefore, despite being under the influence of Ravana, never ever did Vibhishana got himself corrupted. That is a clear cut example that tells us that even if we are under the influence of all those things, because I have heard these kind of arguments when people say that हम क्या कर सकते हैं ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲಿ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಅಂತ. So all Kaliyuga Prabhava. What do you mean by Kaliyuga Prabhava? The great Mahatmas are also been in Kaliyuga, no? Including Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya. So many people they are in Kaliyuga itself. Now, how come it is possible for them and it is not possible for us? We are just not that confident enough. We are not that completely immersed enough into Dharma. We only talk about Dharma. We don't act Dharma. That is the reason why we should remember that line, that we should not become a Rakshasa Cheshtita. Rakshasa Cheshta is saying, thinking one thing, doing some other thing. That common thread is not there, that commonality is not there between the three Karanas. Whereas a Mahatma, whereas a Dharmatma, because Rama is called as a Dharmatma, whereas a Dharmatma thinks, speaks, and acts the same thing. Vibhishana identified this with Rama. Therefore, he begins. That's why we should not use these excuses that we keep on using or keep on hearing these kind of excuses that it's okay to not follow dharma because I was forced by nature itself. The time itself is like that. The time is the culprit. Kali Yuga. No matter what we do, it is not going to happen. That is a very, very pessimistic approach towards dharma. We should not be hearing such kind of arguments anymore. Even if we hear such arguments, we should not be following it. We should not be subscribing to such kind of ideas. Dharma should be followed in its purest form. Dharma should be followed with 100% conviction, without an inch of doubt, without an iota of doubt. We should be following dharma. That is the only way. And Vibhishana is a fine example for that. He was surrounded by Rakshasas, constantly bombarded uh, by the Rakshasi thoughts, Rakshasi pravrittis. He opens his eyes, he sees only Rakshasi pravrittis. He opens his ears, he wants to hear something, he can only listen to Ravana or such kind of thoughts, Rakshasi thoughts. The food is prepared, the food that he is earning, the materials, the raw materials that he's earning is from Rakshasi Prapancham, Rakshasi world. You show me one reason where there was some anukulata for dharma charanam in Ravana Rajya. Nothing was anukula for dharma charanam, and yet did Vibhishana not turn out to be a dharmatma? That's that is the clue that we need to identify. Why I'm stressing so much on Vibhishana is not only because he is a Bhagavatottama. Prahlada Narada Parashara Pundarika Vyasambarisha Shuka Shaunaka Bhishma Dalbhyan Rukmangada Arjuna Vasishtha Vibhishanadi Dhanyaniman Parama Bhagavatan Smarami. It's not just because he's one of the great Bhagavatas, but also because that is what we don't find ourselves in such kind of a situation, luckily. So it is still possible for us to follow that vrata, that dharma should become a vrata for us. So in this context, I'm showing you two types of dridha vrata. One is from our perspective, how can we follow dharma like Vibhishana did. Vibhishana followed dharma to the T, and that is dridha vrata. Dharma was a vrata for him and he followed to the T. Therefore he is a Vibhishanastu dharmatma natu rakshasa cheshtitaha. Dharma was a vrata for him. Anyway, coming back to the story. So in the second day running, Ravana, when he called his Sabha, all the people, they again mentioned the same exact thing to Ravana. And Vibhishana, relentlessly, without thinking that yesterday itself I have made my presentation, I'm not going to do it again. That is our attitude. That should not be our attitude, is what I'm trying to uh, put in front of all of us. That we should be like Vibhishana. Vibhishana should be a great role model for all of us. Despite having that adverse situation, adverse environment, he never got corrupted. What great ability it shows, it goes on to show about uh, Vibhishana. So he started speaking, and in between, there was a boy, a young man, spoke. Who was he? He was none other than Indrajit. Meghanada, Indrajit, Ravana's elder son. He started to speak in between Vibhishana's words. So that is not only bad manners, as they teach nowadays in all the soft skill training and everything. When someone is talking, you should allow them to finish their point and then you can present your point. Then some basic etiquette that everybody gets taught at schools, colleges, and other places. And it was happening right in front of the authority, the highest authority, that is Ravana. of that Rajya. It was happening in front of him. Ravana did not speak a single word. He did not stop his child. He did not say that Indrajit, you should not talk. I remember. Now, I'm very sure when I say this, you all will agree with me that back in our childhood, if two elders are speaking, this was a golden rule. This was the rule that was given to us that ಇಬ್ರು ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾಗ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಯಿ ಹಾಕಬಾರ್ದು. When two elders are speaking, you do not go and speak in between them. And that was a commonsensical thing for us. If you ever did, you would have been beaten black and blue. Maybe most of the times then and there. Otherwise, back home, once you get back home, you will get the thrashing of your life. How dare you speak between two elders? And then there will be some rot-headed and rotten people who will tell you that this is taking away the freedom of inquisitive nature of children, that this nonsense. Absolute rubbish. It is disciplining us. And Ravana did not discipline his son Indrajit. And Indrajit started speaking. He not only interrupted Vibhishana during his presentation, but he also abused Vibhishana. He said that you have been an advocate for sending Sita back. I wonder, are you a spy amongst us? Are you truly one of us or one of them? I don't think you belong to this nation. I don't think you subscribe to our idea, and you are untrustworthy. And all these, no, it was a very bad way of communicating. Vibhishana kept quiet, and then he looked at Ravana in a way. Valmiki describes this in a way, asking that, are you going to keep quiet when your son is talking like this, or are you going to say something as a king, at least as a father? Are you going to instruct him or something? Nothing was done by Ravana. In fact, Ravana gave another uh, astounding statement. uh, Most of the times, people, when they hear these kind of statements, they get fascinated. It's just like that Jatatavi Galajjala Stotra. Okay, borderline. It feels fancy. So he made a fancy statement, Ravan. Vidyate Goshu Sampannam, said that if there is wealth, the wealth is always in the go. Kamadhenu, that is the reason why she is called as Kamadhenu. This is a shloka from Valmiki Ramayana where Ravana mentions this argument saying that Vidyate Goshu Sampannam, Vidyate Brahmane Tapaha. And in Brahmanas, the tapasya is always there. No matter what, you will not see a Brahmana without tapasya. That tapasya is always there in a Brahmana. Vidyate Strishu Chapalyam. The Chapalyam, the Chanchalatvam, the Chapalata, the desire is always there in a Stri. Okay, these are the three padas that he said, and then he said, Vidyate Jnatito Bhayam. It's always a fear that you have, that you can anticipate from your bandhu, from your relative, from your fellow sibling or something like that, blood relative, whoever it is. There is always a fear associated with them. You can't trust them, is what Ravana mentions. In fact, this is like, substantiating whatever Indrajit is saying is absolutely correct. You are untrustworthy. Indirectly, Ravana is telling Vibhishana that you are untrustworthy. If you take all this context out, if you do not understand the intensity of Vibhishana's dharma prajna, and you take this shloka, it is a fascinating shloka, isn't it? And given the track record of all the families, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರ ಮನೆ ದೋಸೆನೂ ತೂತೆ ಆದ್ರಿಂದ that, the kind of interactions that we have had with our families, 90% of us will end up agreeing that what a brilliant statement Ravana has made. He's absolutely right. Vidyate jnatito bhayam. Even the staunch feminists will agree with this statement. They forget that the same mouth also spoke about Vidyate Strishu Chapalyam, but they are fine with that. Vidyate Brahmane Tapaha. At that time, praising the Brahmanas, that will not come into consideration. We will forego all different types of uh, ideologies that we otherwise profess. All those things will vanish because I agree with one part of it. That is what it means to agree with one part of Ravana's character. Bhakti was one part of Ravana's character. And whatever he was a great bhakta. What do you mean by whatever he was? Vibhishana, Prahlada, they were all defined by bhakti. Either you get defined by bhakti or you do not get defined by bhakti. Bhakti cannot be a part of your resume. It is not something that you put on your CV. I also happen to be a Shiva Bhakta. What is the proof? I have written a stotra. That makes you a Shiva Bhakta? That's my argument, because I am dead against this idea of Ravana being highlighted or being presented as a great Shiva Bhakta. He is not a Shiva Bhakta. There are hundreds and thousands of Shiva Bhaktas out there, and you found Ravana to highlight. I mean, we could have drawn inspiration from Markandeya. We can draw inspiration from so many other great Shiva Bhaktas, but no, we want Ravana as a Shiva Bhakta. That says that how corrupted we are. That's my take on that. You have to be very careful because it starts like this. Sympathy. It starts like this. Not every one of them is a bad person. It starts like that. I have my best friend who is not like that. Okay. I'm not saying anything, okay? You can understand in what circumstances we use such kind of words about whom I'm referring. I'm not trying to instigate hate or anything, but what is the difference between these two statements, you see? It's a small sympathy, no, that is drawing us towards there. And what will we gain by establishing the fact that Ravana was a great Shiva Bhakta? Would it would it destroy, or would it take away all the bad things that he did, all the unspeakable things that he did? Will it be sufficient? No. Then we should stop highlighting that part. But look at Vibhishana, look at Prahlada. When you look at these characters, you cannot define. Their CV is very short. Vibhishana, location Lanka, occupation Bhakti. Full stop. Done. Same thing with Prahlada as well. But you will have a detailed CV of Mr. Ravana. Conquered Devatas for the first time in so and so era. Was the king of Swarga for so many days. Had replaced, was appointed. I can go and on and on. Big CVs. Bhakti was also a part of that CV. No, it should be only thing. Anyway, Ravana says this statement. I have given you this line so that you remember this. Just like how Ramo Vigraha Dharmaha, that statement is also flawed because of the fact that it was spoken by Maricha. He was a half-cooked idiot. He was a half-cooked crook, to say the least. And here this statement is made by the most evil person that we know in the history of mankind, Ravana. And vidyate goshu sampannam, vidyate brahmane tapaha, vidyate strishu chapalyam, vidyate jnatito bhayam. The Shastra's take, especially Sahitya Shastra's take, is absolutely clear. Let me tell this from this platform, that it's not always about aesthetics in Kavya. It's not. When it comes to Dharma and Saundarya, Dharma stands, okay? Saundarya comes next. Look at the way the shloka is constructed. Aesthetically, it is beautiful, no? Very appealing. Vidyate Gosha Sampannam, Vidyate Brahmane Tapaha, Vidyate Strishu Chapalyam, Vidyate Gnatito Bhayam. Aesthetically, very pleasing to hear. And just because it is aesthetically beautiful or aesthetically correct, we are not going to accept. Sahitya Shastra doesn't accept, it dismisses. वक्तृबोद्धव्यकाकूनां वाक्यवाच्यान्यसन्निधेः प्रस्तावदेशकालादेः वैशिष्ट्यात् प्रतिभाजुषां योऽर्थस्यान्यार्थधीहेतुः. That is what that is called as Vyanjana. That is the heart and soul of Kavya. Say that Vakta plays an important role in determining the hidden meaning, the deep meaning of a Kavya. People purposefully want to, not see Ramayana in terms of Kavya, because some of these statements will vanish, will go away. They will come to secondary level. These are the shlokas. My guru used to teach me like this. These are the shlokas that must not be quoted from Ramayana, despite them being very nice, appealing. Sorry, it was a little bit off track, but anyway, it was needed. This is much needed. It's not always about appearance. It's not always about the factor of saundarya in kavya. Sometimes it is not, sometimes at all times it is about dharma. It matters a lot who is speaking all these things. A crook, a thief will also tell you some nice things. How do you think scamsters work? Scamsters also, you know, आदमी जब आपको ठगने लगता है ना, ठगने से पहले वो भी आपसे मीठी मीठी बोली ही बोलता है, आपसे मीठी शब्दों से ही बातचीत करता है. He also speaks very sweetly with you. He also starts praising you. And just because he mentions all these sweet things about you, it is not going to take away the fact that he is a crook, he is a thief, isn't it? Similarly, the Vakta, the speaker, makes all the difference. Who spoke those words? Vishwamitra said something about Rama with that much confidence. Aham vedmi mahatmanam Ramam satyaparakramam. Vasishthopi mahateja ye chaime tapasi sthitaha. Now that is a statement that you are going to hold on, because they lived a life of dharma throughout their life. They are worthy enough to claim, they are worthy enough to say that I know Rama. He says, Maricha says Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma is half baked good. He's not yet there. If he was so confident, then why would he even agree to Ravana's threat? He succumbed to Ravana's threat, basically. प्राण जाए, नहीं नहीं महाराज, प्राण नहीं जाने देंगे हम, प्राण चाहिए हम. No, that part we have to be very careful. So we have to be so very careful while quoting Ramayana as well, quoting shlokas as well. That कौन बोल रहा है, किस संदर्भ में बोल रहा है, ಯಾರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾವ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾವ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. Don't you think all these things matter? Before putting a knife firmly on the throat and cutting the throat, a serial killer might also speak some sweet words to you. He might go on and say that, I love you very deeply, my darling. Those could be the words of a serial killer. Do you think that that is a very beautiful quote and you can keep that in a plank? We can't, no? So similarly, even though Ravana has spoken these words, vidyate gosha sampannam, vidyate brahmane tapaha, vidyate strishu chapalyam, vidyate jnatito bhayam, just because it is appealing to us, just because it makes sense, doesn't mean that we have to agree with it. This is the argument from the Shastras side. Okay, we have to be very careful while picking the quotations. The only problem with these quotations is when we do not accredit, when we do not acknowledge from where we have taken. And even if we do, and when someone becomes very serious about it and starts reading, then they get this small idea that Ravana was also a great Vidwan. Finished. We sowed the seeds for them to reach this bloody conclusion where they start to think that Ravana was a great scholar. How did you arrive at this conclusion? Because you see these lines spoken by Ravana. how deep thoughts these are, how profound his thoughts are. Finished. We ourselves have fed them. That's why we have to refrain ourselves from quoting uh, these kind of things. Anyway, sorry. This was not, I mean, this could be our Dridhavrata as well. As academicians, I tell you, um, it's our foremost responsibility to quote the right sources. As much as it is important to quote the right sources, it is also important to quote from the right context. If I quote from a wrong context, it is going to be there for eternity, for posterity it will be there, and somebody with a very clever mind will dig this and he will present it in an argument, just like I just gave you a glimpse. There will be a paper tomorrow, a research paper published in Scopus Journal. They will present a paper, they will write a paper, they will publish it saying that Ravana was a scholar. The scholarship of Ravana. What is the proof? Vidyate Gosha Sampannam. Who said this quote? I heard it from this paper. They will quote our papers only, they will quote. They will put it as a reference. And I took this line from this paper. Finished. It's a, it's a very difficult thing. Anyway. Okay, coming back. So Indrajit, when he could not control his mouth, like how I was not able to control the emotions, he was also not able to control the emotions. Sometimes, it works like that. I'm very sorry if the words have sounded a little bit sharp or harsh or rude. Uh, it's okay. Anyway, so Ravana took side of his son, and he did not uh, took the side of Vibhishana. He did not see any wrong in the words of Indrajit when he spoke against Vibhishana. Then Vibhishana said very clearly that if this is your justice, if this is the way you are going to be, then I don't see any point in staying with you. And he left. He left. Where did he go is the next question. He went to the other shore, other half, or other part of the ocean. He did not wait for Rama and the Vanara army to cross the ocean. Let them cross, and then I will join them from here. Okay. I don't know much about the Bangalore geography, but you see, most of the times it happens that that you are coming from Sarjapur Road. You want to go to Mysore. Okay, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನೈಸ್ ರೋಡ್ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಹಂಗೆ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡು ಅಂತ. Sounds very convenient, isn't it? But Vibhishana was not working out of convenience. He wanted to establish the fact. No, sorry for saying this in Kannada, but I have to, then I will try to translate it in English as well. ಧರ್ಮ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆ ತುಂಬ ಬಲವಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಎ ಒಂದು ತುಡಿತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಕ್ಷಣವೂ ಅಧರ್ಮದ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಶೋಸ್ ದಿ ದೃಢವ್ರತತ್ವ. When we are so convinced about dharma, it won't allow us to stay where there is adharma. If we are surrounded by adharma, it won't allow us to stay even for a fraction of second. So that's why Vibhishana crossed along with his four anucharas. ನಾಲ್ಕು ಜನ ಅನುಚರರೊಡನೆ ವಿಭೀಷಣ crossed the ocean. He came and he said that Sharanagataha, I have come in refuge of Rama. So the meeting about how to cross the ocean was withheld. That meeting was withheld. Now an emergency meeting was convened. Emergency council was called. The agenda was very simple. Should we or should we not take Vibhishana into our party? Okay. So no horse trading is done here. Okay. No party badlav. किसी को भी उठा लिए and we are from today onwards he's our party member. No, Rama wanted due diligence on that. So he went around, he asked all the elders, all those who occupied significant positions in Sugriva's army. Ultimately, it is Sugriva's army. It matters a lot. Rama cannot take a decision on his own. These are the things, how easy it is. I'm sure we all have experienced this. ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ ಮೇ ये सब चलता है. ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ವಿ ಟೇಕ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ help that we get from friends for granted most of the times, because our conviction of dharma is very feeble. It's not that strong. Rama was a dridhavrata. Therefore, he knew at all times, he knew that this army does not belong to me. As a warrior, imagine this. You're leading, people are looking up to you. You are 100 or 1,000 times better than them. He could have easily taken over the entire army, no? Yesterday also, in last session also, I mentioned this point. He could have done that. He could have turned the entire Vanar army against Sugriva and taken the control of the whole army. Did he do that? He did not. He respected that because he knew the difference. That dharma prajna is so important. That is the vrata that he kept. If he said that I'm going to follow dharma, he meant it. So he asked Sugriva and all his counselors. Each and every one of them came up with their own unique idea. Someone said that we have to imprison Vibhishana. Someone said that we have to send him back. Someone said that we have to interrogate him. Someone said that a committee banate hain. Okay. There was such a suggestion. I'm not making this up. They said that we have to make a committee. We have to put him through an inquiry, a detailed inquiry for 6 months. These were the words. And then we will decide whether Vibhishana is worthy enough. 6 months तक तो युद्ध भी नहीं चलने वाला है. Some people say government funds, these are they are used, committees after committees. So at last, Sugriva and Hanuman, they also were asked. So Hanuman said that of all the people that I have seen in Lanka, this is when he makes the statement, Vibhishanastu dharmatma, natu rakshasa cheshtitaha. So I think he is not a rakshasa, he is a dharmatma, and he should be welcomed with open arms because we are on the side of dharma. If we claim that we are following dharma, then we should allow Vibhishana to join us. Sugriva was adamant. He is not going to say yes to this. Okay. So he said that how can you trust a man who has deserted his elder brother at the time of crisis? The war is inevitable. We are attacking them nevertheless. And at this time, Vibhishana has chosen to desert his own sibling, own elder brother, and he has come and comes and wants to join us. How can you trust this man? He can also, betray us. Rama heard all these arguments, and then, in his own unique way, Rama tells Sugriva in front, because it's a meeting, everybody is there. So he very subtly he sends message to Sugriva by saying that Tata, Tata usually, in Sanskrit means Mogu, child, very sweet gesture, a sweet addressing. So he says, Rama tells Sugriva, Nasarve bhratarastata bhavanti bharatopamaha. Not all brothers in this world are like Bharata. Okay. Madvidhava pituh putraha. Not every son in this world is like me. Suhrdova bhavadvidhaha. Not every friend is like you in this world. So what is the hidden message here? He is subtle, in a subtle way, Rama is reminding Sugriva that you can be a great friend, my dear friend, but don't talk about brothers. Don't talk about brotherhood. Okay. It is the same Sugriva who sought Rama's help to eliminate his brother Vali. Now Sugriva has turned the table and now he is saying, and how can you trust a man who has deserted his elder brother and has come to join us? See, that's hypocrisy, no? It's a plain hypocrisy. And Rama exposed it, but in a very subtle way, in a very sophisticated way. So you can claim yourself to be a great friend, but don't try to claim yourself to be a great brother. You're not. Bharata was. Bharata was a great brother. Was ready to sacrifice everything. Anyway, after this, he got convinced. So Griva. And then here comes the astounding statement made by Rama in Ramayana, where he says that ಬಂದಿರೋದು ವಿಭೀಷಣ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ತಾನೆ, we are definitely going to accept him. And he mentions all the political reasons as well, all the strategic reasons as well. I'm not going to discuss much about that, because it's not a decision of emotion or sentiment that Rama took. It was militarily, strategically approved or strategically sound decision that Rama took. And after mentioning all these points, I mean, in fact, Rama, in the sense, Valmiki, in this scenario, he quotes so many technical words from Arthashastra about the importance of including such people into our army and all these things. Now comes the punch by Rama, one of the greatest ever shlokas of Ramayana, the goat shloka of Ramayana, according to me. Vibhishano va Sugriva, he tells Sugriva, whether it is Vibhishana, Yadiva Ravana Swayam, even if it is Ravana himself, okay, if they approach me, if they say that they have come to me in refuge, if they come with open arms, and if they, Sharanagata, if they come in Sharanam, then Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami Etad Vratam Mama. That is the statement of Rama. Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami Etad Vratam Mama. I grant refuge to all creatures. This is my Vrata. Whether it is Vibhishana or Ravana himself. In fact, you won't believe this. Before the war begins, Rama sends Angada as a messenger, as a Duta to Ravana, as that one last time, surrender. Ravana did not, that's a different thing. But the clarity of Rama, the Dharma Prajna of Rama, that Vrata of Rama, Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami. That is what defines. Only a fearless man can give that Abhaya. Abhaya means fearless. Who can grant that fearlessness? He who has Vairagya can give that Abhaya. Nobody else can grant Abhaya. Okay. Bhartrihari in Vairagya Shatakam says, Yoge Roga Bhayam. In everything there is a Bhaya involved. You see, if you have money, you have some sort of Bhaya associated with money. Someone might steal it. It might get lost. Something like that. In every aspect of life, there is Bhaya associated. Do you know where there is no Bhaya? Bhartrihari says, Vairagyameva Bhayam. Only Vairagya is the point where there is no Bhaya whatsoever. Rama was this great Vairagya Murti. So, in this sense, what was Rama's Dridhavrata? You can say the Abhideyartha, the reading the line. Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami Tadvratam Mama is reading the line. Abhideyartha, Vachyartha. The Vachyartha of that line gives us that message that Abhaya Pradhanam was Rama's Vrata. Now, what is the Vyangyartha of that? Not the Kannada Vyangyartha. In Samskrita Sahitya Shastra, we have something called as Vyanjana or the Dhwani. What is the Dhwanyartha of this line? That Vairagya was Rama's Vrata. And how many instances do we find in Rama's life for Vairagya? Starting from the point of leaving his parents to go with Vishwamitra. Do you find Rama whining, crying? Oh, I'm still young. How will I go with Vishwamitra? Was he attached to his Rajya when he was asked to leave for forest for 14 years? Vairagya. Throughout, he has displayed highest level of Vairagya. That that is like uh, the biggest message that we need to carry or we need to highlight from Rama. So three things that we have learned, the time has come for me to put it together to conclusion for Dridhavrata. When we talk of Dridhavrata, what all things did Rama practice as a vrata? There could be many things. Dharma was one thing which he followed as a vrata, as a Mahavrata. So he was a Dridhavrata in dharma, in terms of dharma, in terms of abhaya. Abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadami tadvratam mama. By the virtue of making such a statement, he has proven it beyond anybody doubt that abhaya was Rama's greatest vrata. For me, personally speaking, Rama's greatest vrata was Vairagya. Nothing else. He was a pure murti of Vairagya. Whether it was Sita Parityaga, whether it was Sita Viyoga, whether it was Vanavasa, whether it was his own father's death. Oh, but he cried, no? Who said that you should not cry? But did you see him whining for long and long? See how we cry. Next time when you have, touch wood, let there not be that kind of instances at home. But just observe how people cry when they lose someone. I'm just going to expose how hypocritic we are, how selfish we are. Okay. He says, and we usually cry in this way, and that what am I going to do without you? I'm not worried about the person who has departed. I'm worried about myself. What will I do without you? So you is secondary, or you are secondary. The dead person is secondary. I am primary here. What will I do without you? The emphasis is very clear. And there is so much of raga with this body, with ourself, with the body especially, that it is so difficult for us to rise above it. Look at Rama. Great Vairagya Murti. That is what he followed it as, a vrata. And as far as a king is concerned, as far as a Raja is concerned, he needs to be in that Vairagya zone of Vairagya. He cannot have attachments. If he has an attachment with anything, the entire structure will fall down, it will collapse. Cannot have vested interest, if I have to put it in the same jargon. Vested interest in anything is not going to happen. That's why Vairagya is the greatest takeaway as Mahavrata, as a Dridhavrata from Rama. Abhaya, of course, obviously Abhaya. And then, without any doubt, beyond our doubt, Dharma is one of the things that Rama followed as Dridhavrata, as a so firm on his Dharma, so firm on Vairagya, so firm on Abhaya. Okay. And in the secondary sense, not just only in Rama, but we also see that Dharma Vrata, Dharma being so strongly upheld by Vibhishana. That is amazing. So, with these two episodes or combined together with this story, next time when you read this part of the story, pay attention to the derooted things that I told about how Ravana fails to uphold Rajadharma. He was not supposed to have any vested interest. He should have stopped anybody who interrupts in a meeting. They should be dealt with severe punishments. That is what Rajadharma says. But did Ravana follow that Rajadharma? He did not. Pay attention to those points and look at the way Vibhishana was built. Look at the way Vibhishana conducted himself. That is a great inspiration for us. And despite being in Kali Yuga, we keep on blaming the Yuga. Yuga has not done anything to us. It is all here. If I am convinced about dharma, then I will follow my dharma. That's the way that it can lead to Ishvara, no? That that one swara is sufficient for me to lead to that Akshara Brahma or to that Nada Brahma. If that confidence is not there in me, if that Shraddha is not there in me, then Ishvara to Swara is not going to happen. I may keep saying plenty of Swaras. I may keep on using the Swaras. Sarigama Padhanisa, Tam Tam, all the Swaras you can use. But why is it not leading us towards Ishvara? Because we don't have that conviction in this Vidya. That Swara Vidya, that Swara has the power to lead us to Brahma, to Ishvara. That Shraddha should be there. If that Shraddha is there, and once we have Shraddha in anything, it will become a Vrata for us. And once it becomes a Vrata for us, it will only lead us towards Vairagya from other things and straight ahead to Ishvara Bhava. That's how that's how Rama was a Dridhavrata. That's why Rama was a Dridhavrata. That gives us that brilliant insight about how we should follow dharma, how we should be following that, or how we can inculcate that Dridhavratatva in our life. Or if anybody is into Sangeeta already, Karnataka Shastriya Sangeeta or Hindustani Sangeeta, it doesn't matter. If you're already into Sangeeta, you have been given access to the Nada Vidya, to Nada Brahma, to Ishvara. Nada Tanu Manisham. The Nada Tanu is there right in front of you. You have been given the key. You have the access codes. Everything is set with you. Just need to have that Shraddha. You need to have that Vrata. Once you take Sangeeta as a Vrata, then nothing will hold you back from becoming a Tyaga Brahma. See the difference. Why Tyaga Brahma was able to see Rama in every Kriti. And all I see is how are the Rasikas finding my singing? I'm sorry, apologies if anybody gets hurt, but that is not what a Sangeetagara, that is not what a singer is supposed to do, isn't it? He is supposed to. Do you think Tyaga Brahma would open his eyes and look for all the people who were residing besides him, his neighbors, whether are they listening to my song or not? How many likes did I get? I uploaded this audio clip. Do you think that makes us Tyaga Brahma? It won't. It won't. That Shraddha makes us Tyaga Brahma. To have that firm belief, if that Vrata makes that, if I take Sangeeta as my Vrata, then it makes me a Tyaga Brahma. Now, please don't mind that I'm targeting only the Sangeetagaras or Sangeeta people. Any art form you take, anything, if that does not become our Vrata, then it is not leading us to Ishvara. Not at all. I'm sorry to say that, but if it is not a vrata, if it doesn't become a vrata for me, it is not leading me towards Ishvara. So Swara should become a vrata for me. Swara vrata. But there is no such vrata. There is Varamahalakshmi vrata, Ekadashi vrata, Shivaratri vrata. There is no Swara vrata. You don't have to say that. Did Rama say that Abhaya vrata? I'm following Abhaya vrata for these many days. No. And by the way, the vrata that we are talking about is without an udyapanam. Okay, there will be some clever people I know who will come up with this question within themselves. They might not be able to today. I'm sorry, I've been a little harsh today. They might not be able to present that question in, in words, but they might think that all vratas come with some udyapanam. No, I did Mangala Gauri Vratam for how many years? 5 years I did Mangala Gauri Vratam. Now Udyapanam. After Udyapanam, you may follow it, you may not follow it. That option is there, isn't it? So similarly, that is the reason why the word Dridhavrata has been used. That is Adridhavrata. You did it, and then it became an option for you. Mangala Gauri can be done, cannot be done. Ananta Padmanabha, 14 years we did. Now it is optional for us. ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಮನೇಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ನೆಂಟರ ಮನೇಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೃಢ ವ್ರತ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದೃಢ ವ್ರತ. ಕೊನೆ ಉಸಿರಿರೋವರೆಗೂ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೃಢ ವ್ರತ. ಫಾರ್ ರಾಮ, ಧರ್ಮ ವಾಸ್ ದೃಢ, ಅಭಯ ವಾಸ್ ದೃಢ, ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ವಾಸ್ ದೃಢ. For us, nothing is dridha, unfortunately. So whatever we have, we need to make that as dridha. And once we make it, the path to Ishvara is like a highway for us, is an expressway for us, a dedicated expressway for you, by the way. You won't find any traffic, no speed limit, no traffic, nothing. A dedicated, personalized motorway or highway for you. The moment we decide to take it up as a Dridha Vrata. So that is the essence of Dridha Vrata, and how inculcating this Dridha Vratatvam leads us to Ishvara is what we have discussed today. I think we have another 5 minutes left on the clock. So if there are any questions, we can take a couple of questions. And the question that I am supposed to give, I will send it later. I need to calm down a little bit and then send the question. I will do it later.
So from next week, we are going to change it to Wednesdays. So
Yeah.
all of you, please note that from next week on, class will be on Wednesday, not on Tuesday. So you'll get your link accordingly. You'll get it on for Wednesday class only. And the other thing, sir, I had a small announcement. Is it okay? Can I just make it? So this Saturday's offline program is shifted to Sunday because Dr. Rita Soda had some college responsibilities that they were not prepared to let her go. So, and she's the head of the department there. So we had to shift it to Sunday. And because it's Sunday, we can't do it in BNMIT College. We're going to do it in Shale. Those who have registered, your mail is already gone to you. So please check your mail. Those who have not registered and want to attend the session, please register now. And so from next week, the last 20 minutes, we are going to open it out so that they can all speak also.
Yeah. Much better. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, then there is some interaction and they can also ask questions, and it's not that you have to see only but you can't see their faces, but you can listen to them.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Yeah, please.
One is, you talk about, you said about aesthetics and whether it's good. Aesthetics is, what is good is not necessarily aesthetics and vice versa, but we say Satyam Shivam Sundaram.
Correct.
So in our Indian ethics,
Good.
we believe that what is beauty is also good. Indian aesthetics. And second question is...
Satyam and Shivam and Sundaram, it has to be in the same line. It has to be in the same straight line. I cannot pluck Sundaram out and place it somewhere else and still expect that to be Satyam, Shivam and Sundaram. It has to be a straight line. And the starting point is Satya. Satya Dharma. Satya and Dharma. So Satya is the foundation. And it has to be auspicious. Satya, Shiva, and then Sundar. It has to be in that same line.
So it can't work backwards.
No.
Sir,
you can go backward until if it is in the same line.
In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, no, I am the essence of all that is beautiful.
Exactly. So it goes on to show that Bhagavan is the Satya. So if he is the essence of everything, and the essence of Saundarya is Bhagavan, then if it has to be Saundarya, then it essentially has to be Satya. It essentially has to be Brahma. It has to be Dharma. So when I said aesthetics in this context, I meant as mere appearance. It appears to be beautiful. It sounds very nice. That shloka, the chandas, the wordplay, all those things are beautiful. So that part should be taken a little bit more seriously.
The second bit, you said Rama is symbolic of Vairagyam. But
Yeah.
when we look at Yoga Vashishta, I mean,
Mm.
there, there was a transformation in him which, led him to what he became in Valmiki's Ramayana.
Yeah.
So, we do not usually reflect on the Yoga Vashishta. So, can we, assume that most people do not understand that Rama also had attachment and had to overcome that?
See, Ramavatara has been a Martyavatara. It is a pure Martyavatara. Martyavatara in the sense, Manushyavatara. And what was the purpose of Ramavatara? Bhagavata explains, Martyavatarastviha Martya Shikshanam. It is to educate people. It is to give them a live example of how to behave, how to conduct. So there should be a progressive transition as well. So that progressive transition part you see in Yoga Vasishtha. So when he, and in this context, when he says Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadamyetad Vratam Mama, you should actually read that whole part, that whole conversation that happens. It runs up to 3 or 4 sargas. The moment you read this particular one line, you feel that Rama was not the actual, Dasharatha Putra Rama or Sugriva Sakha Rama. He was not in that level. He was in a different zone when he makes that statement. He was not the same Rama when he said, Nasarve Bhratarastata Bhavanti Bharatopamaha. He begins it like that. It was very subtle, it was direct, it was meant to hit the target. But when he says, Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami Tadvratam Mama, that is, I find no difference between this line of Rama and Ananyaschintayanto Mam, Ye Janah Paryupasate, Tesham Nityabhayuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyam of Krishna. And, or even better, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham tva sarvabhutebhyo sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. What difference exists between these two? He said it in a very in a better word, a little weighted word. The weightage is a little bit more on the word abhaya, whereas this is more clearer, more easier for us to understand. When Krishna said sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So it is made in that level, in that zone. But whereas in Yoga Vasishtha or throughout Ramayana, we find that there is also a kind of progression that happens in Rama's build up, Rama's character. That is not because Rama needed that. We need that. We need that framework. How do I overcome the misery, the struggle of missing someone dearly beloved? How do I overcome that and yet not forget Dharma? You see, we fail to see that part. And most of the times, we tend to commit grave mistakes when we are in deep misery, and we then use that as an excuse that sorry, I was in a different mood. I was not myself. I was very sad. I was very depressed. I didn't know what I have spoken to you. But Rama need not had to apologize uh, any of these things. I mean, he never had to because he never did any such things. And that is a lesson. He acted, he was having the attachments and all those things, but not at the cost of forfeiting dharma. That is vairagya, paravairagya. That is not to give up dharma. What is that is the true meaning of vairagya, no? He knows that this is all anitya. Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya says this, anitye bhogavastuni, that jugupsa should be there. And he has that. He has lived that vairagya. That he knows that all of this is anitya, and he is part of, and being a part of this anitya prapancha, you can still rise above this anitya prapancha and stay in that Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararama. No? He's Shuddha Brahma. Can stay in that Brahma Bhava as well at all times. That's why, I mean, this is personal, this is my interpretation of Rama. You don't find this in any commentaries or anything, but this is how I have seen Rama. For me, he is Paravairagya Murti. But no greater example for me apart from Rama for Vairagya. Uh, so he was there, no? He was in the midst of all these struggles and miseries. If it was someone else, they would have collapsed. They would have been depressed. He never needed any counselor. The strange thing, he went through so many things and then never needed a counselor. That's the greatness of that Prabhu. Okay.
Okay, sir, with your permission, we'll end the session then.